We're turning to discuss Lee Keegan, who at the age of 33 has announced his retirement from inter-county football. He was the Footballer of the Year in 2016. As we mentioned there in the news round, nominated as Footballer of the Year in 2013 and 2021 as well. 140 appearances for Mayo. It puts him fifth on the all-time list for Mayo. He scored 871 across those 140 appearances. Played in 6 All-Ireland finals, 7 if you include replays. Managed 5 All-Stars, 7 Connacht titles, a National League in 2019 as well. And he will continue to represent Westport, but cited the commitments to both young family and inter-county as being difficult to match up. Very happy to say Mr. James Horan is live on the line, manager from 2011 to 14 and then 18 to 22. So James, you saw Lee Keegan at very close quarters right across a decade. The tributes have been fulsome across the day. We're talking about very, very special player here.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. A terrific player, a terrific guy, I suppose, would be my take on it. But yeah, you listed out all the things there. His level of consistency, level of performance over 12 years was outrageous, really. And just an all-round brilliant player and an all-round brilliant guy. Very humble, honest, straight type of guy who wouldn't have maybe said much around the place, but how he led by deed was phenomenal. And I was lucky enough to get to work with him for a while. So yeah, brilliant memories of a brilliant player.
The thing about those deeds, you say led by deeds, was there was a consistency, as the numbers there suggest, and yet there was also a massive doing it on the big day mentality. We were just making the point before you came on that across his 67 championship games, he scored 748. So he's averaging over a point a game across his career as a defender. But if you take 3 of those 7 goals, all come against Dublin in the 2016 All-Ireland final replay, the 2017 All-Ireland final, and the 2019 All-Ireland semi-final. And frankly, some of his best days, and the numbers don't capture it fully, some of his best days are on the biggest days.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, his level of consistency was brilliant. But on the big days, Lee's mentality, that was one of his many attributes, I suppose. Mentally very, very strong, and the bigger, the better. The better the player is on, the better for him. Just his mindset. He wanted to dominate the guy who's on, dominate the occasion, or dominate the game. It's where he got to with his game, how he developed, and the confidence he built over time. He just became a phenomenal player. And you're talking about those scores there. In a lot of those games, he was put on the best opposition player. One of the most dangerous forwards. He would have been invariably on them. So in numerous occasions, he was outscoring the forward he was marking, if you like, while never ever shirking the defensive responsibilities. So his game evolved to be Lee looked at the game very simply. It was very very sort of black and white. Here's the job, here's what I'm going to do. But he evolved his game and learned an awful lot about the game to become a very positionally astute player. Those runs that everyone knows him for and became a huge identity of the team at the time. Those powerful runs from the back, a lot of those were timed brilliantly. And over the last today you've probably seen loads of clips on Twitter of goals against Dublin, but the timing of his runs, the pop from Andy or the pop from Aidan O'Shea again in All-Ireland finals, for him to get on the shoulder. So his timing became very, very clever and very good, and got better and better at that. So his scoring stats kept increasing. But to get the balance right was what he could do was very, very impressive.
Well, for sure. And again, so many different great stats from his career come up. To your point, Diarmuid Connolly and Keegan, maybe both at the respective peaks of their power, marked each other 5 times, and they both ended up with 1-4 across those 5 meetings. Yes. It's just kind of like an amazing win for Keegan against one of the great players in Connolly. When you say that he evolved as a player and developed his positional sense and would time these runs. Is that something that just, slowly but surely through experience he just got better at? Or how does one work on knowing how to time those runs?
Look, when you're playing as many top-level games as Lee did against the top players, and, he played with a very good half-back line on the Mayo team as well, with Colin Boyle, Tony Vaughan, Keith Higgins, who were all really, really powerful runners as well. So they did a lot of work together to,
right.
To who goes, on what time they go, and who stays, etc.
Right.
And I suppose based on Lee's scoring rate, is a very, very accurate kicker of the ball. So based on score rate, he'd more often invariably go while someone would hold. But look, a lot of guys. One of the things about Lee, and there's a lot of plaudits about his game and on the field, but his mindset and the type of character he was, he just wanted to learn. He just wanted to get better. He was as coachable a guy as you could ever come across, which is powerful. This guy has, all-stars all over the place and widely acclaimed, but he just wanted to learn the game, loved the game, loved the contest, and just wanted to get better and better. So worked with a lot of coaches down through the years with Mayo to improve those little things, where you stand for breaking ball, how you use your body, when to turn, when to spin, when to go, all those kind of things. He'd love that, so that he could be better on game day. So
okay, interesting. The student of the game as well as having a straightforward attitude to it. In the Irish Examiner today, Maurice Brosnan was writing a tribute, and he said Lee Keegan had 4 surgeries in 3 years and looked finished against Dublin in 2019 after a tough day against Con O'Callaghan. He responded, though, by building a home gym and went to work during lockdown, came back for 3 more incredible seasons, man of the match on Con in 2021, won an All-Star and was nominated for another in 2022. So physically and in terms of dealing with injury, I suspect this guy played through pain we didn't realise half the time.
Yeah, and to boot on that, Joe, he changed positions as well from the sort of flying wing back to a cornerback, which can be a much more difficult position, But yeah, that's fairly typical of Lee. Just work, getting better, the grind. Love the grind. Absolutely love the grind, and I suppose the pain associated with that. Just love to get to push himself to the limits. He's one of those guys and that pushes himself above the sort of human safety valve. The safety level where most people play, or a lot of people play. He could just empty, go into that dead zone more often than not. So hugely courageous that way. But to play like that and to have the level of consistency he had, you have to prepare, and you just have to do stuff every day to be at that level, and Lee would love that, the discipline of that preparation. So that fed into his mindset and to make him the player that he was.
So you as a manager, you have these various players, these chess pieces, and you have to figure out how to best utilise everybody and how to make it all work. Keegan's quite an interesting case in that he can literally do everything. So there's a certain pressure on you to get the best out of him and to allow his full array of talents to shine. It sounds there like you pretty much chalked him up to take care of their best player, and you chalked him up to be the more likely of the halfbacks to run. So this kind of dream scenario for you, but give us your thoughts on how you use Keegan in these bigger days.
Yeah, well, I suppose there's a lot of brilliant players around that have specific skill sets. Some might be very aerobic, some might have good skill set, some might be fast, some might be great tacklers, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. To get a guy like Lee that's all those things is unique for sure. So as I mentioned earlier, the half back line we had 2011, coming through 2011 to 2012, where Lee really kicked off in 2012. I suppose you were beginning to see the type of skill set they had. So like as I said, he's very accurate, very good foot passer, very strong in the tackle. So we tried to set up as a team, I suppose, to maximise the skills of all the players that we have. As I said, we had a very mobile half back line, so we tried to utilise that. And I suppose as we did, Lee came more and more to the fore in that because of the skill set that he has. So when you start to see that, you start to, when it's effective, you start to use that more and more. And for each score that Lee got, you got to remember that there's someone else that was covering off or checking off or freeing him up to do that run. So it really became part of the team and part of the, as I said, the identity of that team around that time. So look, Lee had a huge part to play in that. So again, it's how do we set up to give ourselves the best chance to win? Give ourselves the best chance to win. How can we maximise Lee and some of the skill sets that we have in other players? So it evolved over time as he got stronger and stronger.
Yeah, was akin to the pain point. Was there a fitness test in late 2011 that sticks in your memory?
Yeah. We must have touched on that before. Yeah. Well, I suppose Lee was breaking through in 2011. We had an idea this guy was going to. He played a couple of years under 21, didn't play minor. Sort of rugby was his main game, and he played a bit of football on the side. It was that sort of when we got him in 2011. You knew there was something going on here, and he came on against Kerry in 2011. Got one of his first slicers, from outside 40 yards, as he does. But later that year, I suppose we had a fitness test in prep for the following year, just to get ready, to get the programs, specific for players. And just remember, he came that day. We did it in Brafey House, and he came that day, and there was just something about him. There was an air about him that this guy was ready to take off. He got a taste of it in the Kerry game and some of the league games earlier on, but he just wanted, this is what he wanted. He wanted to be the strongest and the best at this, and there was nothing that was going to stop him. And I just remember it was a fairly straightforward bleep test and some agility test, but he just emptied himself with everything that's that you can in your body, and the place shook that day with what Lee, the effort that he put in, and it was just his way of saying there's a new year coming. We're going to shake this place up, and he just that was the day he really started to lead, and he led for the following decade, really.
It's funny, we were chatting about him and somebody sent a text in saying, lads, can he be regarded as great if he hasn't won an All-Ireland? And the fairly emphatic answer here in studio was, well, absolutely. Of course he can. I'm going to tempt you into a conversation now, and it's the type of conversation you hate because it's just pure hot air, right? So go with me.
Humour you, Joe. Go on.
Humour me on a quiet January. So on this Mayo bunch, say, of the last decade, and you're obviously... You really got the ball rolling and set things up and came back towards the end. But right across that decade, you were watching at close quarters as well as being involved. And so, would you regard? Do you chalk up, now that there's a bit of distance, that Mayo team for the bulk of the last decade as a great team in terms of their imprint on the GAA landscape, their consistency, the quality of football reach, that they hit levels that surpassed teams who came and maybe won the All Ireland here or there? Would you have those Mayo, because I would really, on a higher pedestal than even other All-Ireland winning teams, and have them in the bracket of one of the great GAA teams? Or for you, is it as unnuanced and simple as, bottom line, we didn't get it done, you can't call us great?
I suppose my take on it, and it's always been the way I've looked at it, is like, where that team started to where it got to, and then the levels it maintained for such a period of time is a phenomenal achievement. And to me, is the characteristics of a great team and a great bunch of people with huge character. See, I suppose I saw them up close, Joe, and the effort those guys put in to develop and grow, over the course of a decade or more, to get better and better and improve, and to play at the level of performance against, invariably ended up playing against probably one of the greatest teams of all time, and played consistently well. And that to me is a phenomenal achievement. sign of great players and a great team. Yeah, of course, it would have been nice for sure. But definitely for me, that rate of development, if you look at that from a coaching point of view, just the rate of development and their application to try and learn and grow and develop and test themselves and push themselves, that to me is a serious team.
Yeah, it's a pity it was never done once, just because it's what the players deserved, but also to settle that argument over greatness, because it is, in any pub conversation, anyone who wants to take a lesson, who wants view, can say, nah, didn't do it, not great, end of. And it's a difficult point to argue back against too strongly, I suppose, and not one you'd be inclined to argue, I guess.
Next question, Joe.
It is hard. I mean, that's the pity of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Of course, it would have been great. You think of the guys that have played. It would have been. Of course, it was. I'm not trying to belittle that at all. It would have been great. It didn't happen. If you talk to Lee, it'd be we could have done better or should have done better on certain days, all that kind of stuff. So, but that's life, that's sport.
Yeah. But I'm still sensing a deep satisfaction there and a certain comfort with saying, yeah, I'll allow us to be called great. If you want to call us great, I'll accept that.
Yeah. No, in my opinion, I know others will shoot that down, but certainly in my opinion, working with those guys and their improvement for me was a massive achievement.
Listen, great to have you on and to pay tribute to Lee. I don't. When are you announcing your return as off the ball Lee GAA pundit? I know you're incredibly expensive, but we can make something work.
Look, I don't want to say anything, Joe. Contracts and negotiations are ongoing, so let's see how it turns out.
Okay. Your people can talk to our people and vice versa.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Thanks so much. Are you involved with any teams at the moment?
What's that?
Are you involved with any teams at the moment? Are you coaching away on the QT?
Absolutely nothing. Look, I have a serious 4-ball going at the moment. We're trying to develop that. That's about as close to teams I am at the moment.
Okay, well, geez, you want heartache? That'll do it. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Good talk to you, Joe. Take
care.
Cheers.
James Horan there, Mayo manager, paying tribute to Lee Keegan, who has announced his retirement this afternoon at the age of 33 after an extraordinary career.